Challenge coins.
Challenge coins.
Yeah.
That's another one. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see here. We're gonna count it down. I think we're going live. This gives me a few seconds to make sure as our folks join us here. Checking the Twitch cam. Looks good. And boom. Okay. Beautiful. All right. Welcome. Good afternoon. Good morning, wherever you are. Namaste. Welcome to episode 9 of Old and in the Way, broadcasting live from the basement in the Alamo. The dude of IB here, as usual, joined by my beloved 20th Century All-Stars. And I am thrilled to say we have a very special guests joining the show today, MJ and Jordi from USA on Harley, and they're going to tell us all about themselves a little bit. So we're very excited about that. And that is the topic du jour today. Our first, I would say, Eddie, you were like our first big-time guest, and by that I mean
Oh
somebody
boy.
who didn't feel compelled to help me with the show,
Yeah.
who just came here of their own free will, we'll say. So that was our first big guest was Eddie from New York City, Harley Davidson, and now we're welcomed by Jordi and MJ, also of the New York City area, and we'll get into all of that in a moment. But before we do, Carlos, Eddie, Scott, how are you guys? What's new and exciting? Anything?
Who gets
Uh,
to start?
Yeah, anybody, jump in, go for
I,
it.
I,
I
I, I
can
will.
jump in.
I will start by. I just came
Okay.
back from doing a 110-mile ride this
Whoa!
morning in
Ooh.
in drizzly weather, fog, and zero visibility, where 100 people were out riding, and I could only see 2, 3 people in front of me and 2, 3 people behind me.
Wow.
That's for a conversation at a later point.
Is that all
My-
over New York City area today? A lot of fog. You guys socked in, or is that just where you were at?
Today is very cloudy, especially we were by the water, so the water with the fog and everything and the drizzle. So it was a unique experience that we will use that for a future show about driving and inclement weather or
Yeah,
suddenly getting hit with a fog bank and feeling you're in a John Carpenter movie in the fog.
yeah.
That's my intro this morning, this
Yeah,
afternoon.
yeah, I'm gonna write that down. Fog is not something I immediately thought of. I didn't really think about sandstorms either until I drove through one of those, but nevertheless, I digress. Eddie, what's going on with you? How are you? Where's the cat?
He should be here shortly. He said he's running behind schedule.
Oh,
So
yeah, I
yeah.
can't. We're on a tight schedule today, but I got to tell you, I bought a pet carrier for my bike to see if I can get
Nice.
my. I have we have 4 cats and a dog. One of the 4 cats I raised from like a week old that was born in a puddle, and like we have a very special connection. So I want to see if I can get her into riding, like put it
Is
in.
it a backpack? Like the
I have a backpack. I have one of those. This is actually like a Kurakin or whatever that company is that makes gear. This is like a really big one, and I bought it used on eBay, so I paid a fraction of the price because if none of
nice.
the pets like it, I'll just sell it again.
Is it
Uh,
solid? Is
yeah,
it solid or flexible?
it's flexible. Yeah, it's flexible, and well, it's got some solid aspects to it. Yeah, it's rigid inside, but it's got like various aspects, like different. It's almost like a piece of luggage, basically. Like you would have, you could lean on it and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, and it came with little goggles for
Oh
whoever
my
the previous owner must
God.
have had a dog. They're called doggles. So
Oh,
anyway, if nothing else, if even if none of the cats like it, I'm gonna keep the goggles. So, but we'll talk about we'll do bike tech and pet caring in another episode.
yeah.
So yeah, that's good. But have you been out riding? I know you've been out riding a lot. Actually, I've seen you getting down to the shore.
Yeah, I've been doing some little road trips, practicing for the summer, warming up for the summer, but I ride every day.
Yeah,
I've been down to the Jersey Shore. I've been riding with the new group called the Jersey Girls in Jersey. And dragon boat season has started, so I won't be at the dealership so much this summer.
Are you gonna be? Are you rowing or what? What's your?
Yeah, paddling. I paddle on the Metro Athletic Dragons team, and our first race is in DC on the 24th of May.
No kidding,
Wait,
Potomac.
So
wait. Eddie, are you saying that you're competing against Winston?
No, Winston is my coach.
Oh, okay.
Winston. Sorry, obscure Ghostbusters reference. All right, well that's.
Oh yeah, I got it.
that's an interesting. We'll have to get the information so we can pump that out and see what you can tell us more about what that
Love
is.
Ghostbusters.
Nice, well played, very good, very good.
Thanks. I'm ready for everything.
Scotty, how you doing? Anything new on your end before we dive in?
No, a couple inches of snow here in Denver yesterday. Couldn't be happier about that. The oppressive summer is coming.
Yeah.
Jordi and MJ, the joke here is that I don't ride, and I don't have any desire to ride. I'm just here for the conversation.
Wait, Jordi, MJ. Scott does not realize it's our 9th production, and he has learned a lot.
Oh, sure.
He has respected a lot. We have done a virtual reality bike that we convinced them that a what did you say, a $100,000 Ducati was
not the right bike for me. Exactly,
was not the right bike. So we got him from the $100,000 Ducati to a simpler 500cc used kick me down type of bike. So at the end of this series, whenever it ends, I think we will convince Scott to just say, screw it, I'm going to do it.
It is Carlos's dream. That's right. You will be happy to know I did pick up a bicycle, so it's in the right direction.
Yeah, what kind of
is this for Emma?
Yeah, well, it's self-pedaled here, but we're okay. And I've got the hat now, Carlos, so, it's only a matter of time. It's a foregone conclusion. So, no, Jay, nothing really new out here.
Yeah, well, that's good. And you never know. We may bring him along yet. And Jordi and MJ, Scott and I have known each other since we were in junior high, and we're two computer nerds hanging out in the comp sci lab. So we go way back. We both grew up in Connecticut, and Scott mentioned he's in Colorado now, and I'm in California. But he is my ride or die homie, as they say. And he's also his moniker here, El Jefe del Sonido, is a nod to Scott as a really talented sound engineer and voiceover artist and podcaster, and very, very accomplished. In fact, that he would even be slumming it here with me is true testament to our friendship. And he's got a professional studio in his house and everything, so he's been helping as we've got the show off the ground to keep me in line and make sure we don't sound half bad. So Scott, thank you for that.
I appreciate the kind words. As soon as they find somebody better than me, I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and behind the music.
Scott, did the last check clear that he sent you?
No, I put them all in a drawer. I'm going to cash them all at once.
All right. Well, we're gonna get started. I'm almost keeping true to our timing here, which is first ever. So we're gonna get started in a couple minutes with our special guest Jordi and MJ. Let's see here. I got too many cameras. So for our folks here, we got check those babies out. Scott designed, in addition to me talenting at sound, Scott took a crappy image that I created and turned it into this, and it's kind of hard to read with the reflection there, and I'll show it down for our folks on the live stream, everybody watching at home. This is take a look there, California 94. I talk about this road. It's a great local road. It's very popular with the folks around here. It's got a bunch of names, so it's imagery. It's kind of it's a cool kind of local San Diego thing. So I had these made so that as I meet people when I'm out riding around, I can pass them out and be like, hey, here's a sticker. And I won't print anything myself without consulting Scott again, but I also got made, I think it's really cool how I think like motorcycle clubs back in the day used to hand out courtesy cards, and ranging from like, the funny ones that would say like, you've just been stomped by a member of the Hells Angels or something like that. So I made one here, and you can't really, ergo, because my design quality is not so good. And, but on the front, it just says, "It was nice meeting you, and I hope our paths cross again." And it's got my contact info. And then on the back, it's got a little plug for the show with our show info there.
Love it.
Yeah, so this way now when I'm out and about and after I finish stomping somebody, no, I'm just kidding. I can give them a sticker and a card. So anyway, a little bit of merch, and Scott was instrumental in helping to pull that imagery together. So again, namaste, Scott.
Happy to help.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so without further ado, let's turn the corner here and start to get into the topic du jour, which is again our special guests, Jordi and MJ of the, we'll say online persona or online account, whatever we call that, of USA on Harley. These are two legendary iron butt riders, as the term goes, and they are good friends of members of our 20th Century All-Star group, who convinced them against their better judgment to come and join us today. I kid, I do that too much, but who convinced them to come and join us today to talk about their experiences. And we're going to do that. So without further ado, I'm actually going to turn it over and say real quickly, if you wouldn't mind, Carlos, I'll put you on the spot. So you and Eddie know Jordi and MJ. Would you mind kind of introducing them and telling us what inspired you to have them on the show?
Sensei, you go ahead. You've known them for longer.
Yeah, I can say I've been with the chapter a long time, and I remember the first day that Jordi and MJ showed up at our first HOG meeting. And this couple were so energetic, so enthusiastic, so they wanted to share. They were very bubbly and wanted to just literally just take the ground running. And I think that was the first time they had an argument with the chapter. And I said they had a lot of potential with the chapter, because with all the ideas that they had, it was like saying, you gotta be aware of what is around there. And since that time, they've put on a lot of miles, a lot of destinations, and with their idea, they were also shared. And what was impressed me about it, I mean, as the old fart of the group there, that they were willing to share everything they learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly. They were willing to share that we're human beings, that it's not going to be a perfect ride. And I think I personally learned, and I got the biggest kick when you guys did this YouTube, especially in your journey that you'll talk about, when you went from, and Jay has just experienced this, going on a long distance trip and packing a lot, to, if he had seen your video, and I'm making that plug in, that video where you guys went from a lot of stuff to getting it down to being efficient, being practical, being for quick movement, and then going and that creativity. I knew that, I mean, nobody else can brag that, to say that your learning experience went from, Zippo states to, you did, and correct me if I'm wrong, and if you could talk about that, your first bikes that you actually both started, to the present, your transition to the present bikes that you have, and that growth, because
great
I think
question.
that as far as that and how you got to it. So I mean, it was a no-brainer. I mean, as the talent agent, that you guys have the experience, the knowledge, and keep on pushing the envelope. So that's my intro too. That's why I said it. Plus, Jordi promised me $20 if I made it more than 2 sentences.
Made it more than 2 sentences. All right. Well, excellent. Well, without further ado, then welcome to the program, Old and in the Way. Welcome, Jordi and MJ, to the show. So why don't we start, and let's get everything clear for all of us, and we got to make sure, first of all, which one's Pink and which one's Floyd, right? So who is Jordi and who's MJ here, just so we know everybody's clear. I think we know MJ is, well, that would be, there we go. Yes, that's my left. Okay, but we won't bother with that. All right, so that's MJ and Jordi. And is MJ short for anything? And we don't have to, just out of curiosity, or?
Yeah, MJ is my American name, because I have a tricky name that nobody can get it right.
Understood.
And when I'm not working, I go by MJ, but my real name is Marichel.
Awesome.
Which is a Catalan name, and it has no translation. And when I'm at work, I'm Marichel. The rest of the time, I'm MJ.
Okay, awesome. And Jordi, is that short for something, or is it just Jordi?
No, Jordi is the equivalent to George.
Okay.
American, or Jorge in Spanish, but
Okay.
It's also the Catalan version of the name.
Okay, and you guys are not originally from the U.S. You were both born, and where, if you don't mind, why don't you jump in and tell us? So where are you guys
Sure.
from, and go dive in.
We are both born and raised in Barcelona, in Catalonia.
Okay.
So European.
Yep.
And we literally moved into the US back. Well, we had a short stage for 1 year in 2008. We moved back to Barcelona and we established in New York back in 2012.
10 years now.
10 years, almost 11 years.
Almost 11 years.
So almost 11 years.
We've been together for 25 years. So we get along very well. We know each other very well. So
understood. Yeah, my wife and I have been together for we just had our 21st wedding anniversary. So we've been. I can relate on that sort of the simpatico. I know there's a few. Thank you. So Barcelona. And you're both originally from Barcelona?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So and so let's see. That means we've got. I'm counting heads here. We've got at least 5 folks with Spanish heritage or lineage on the show today, right?
I'm
Basque.
Correcting you real quick.
Yes,
yeah.
That's correct. And I actually looked into that further. I won't derail us on world geography. We had a discussion on the Basque region of Spain and a prior episode, Jordi and MJ. So in the Basque country, but so both originally from Barcelona, and you've been in the States for about 10 years. So tell me a little bit about what led you to find your path, and we'll say, if you wouldn't mind, it's a two-level question. First, how'd you guys find each other, and then how'd you find your way to writing, individually and together? Why don't you take us down that path?
I'm going to start with how we met.
I mean, my dad has always had a motorcycle, so it's something that, it was in the family, but I was never really into it. But in Barcelona, it's very common that, everybody has a motorcycle.
Right.
And it's like a moped, like a 125cc engine, right? So, we use it for commuting. We go home for lunch and then go back to work. And I think the first city in terms of amount of motorcycles is Rome, followed by Barcelona.
Right.
So if you ever go to Barcelona in Europe, if you ever go to Barcelona and you stop at the traffic light, it's going to be 20 of those motorcycles.
Yeah.
So when we got married, we said, we may need to get one so that, we can go home for lunch. And I don't know, it was like the normal thing to do.
Right.
And instead of getting a small one, a 49cc, we said, okay, because it's going to be 2 of us, why don't we get 100 or 125 cc's so that the engine is going to be, it's going to be easier.
Right.
And the way it works over there is that you need to get the license. So there are 2 kind of motorcycle licenses back there, depending on how big is the engine. So we said, okay, let's do the license for the small one, and then we'll take it from there. And what happened is that we got this motorcycle, and it was just for commuting. But Jordi was like, you know what? I think we need to get something bigger. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay. And then he went to get the other license, and I was like lazy. I didn't want to do it because you have to go to a school and do the practice. The system over there is very different in the US. In the US, it's very easy.
Yeah,
over there, it's time consuming, and you have to pay and then get the exam, and it's like outside of the city. It's not easy. So I was like, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I think this is worth it. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think this is actually, I don't know Carlos and Eddie. I'm guessing, Newman, your knowledge of this is nil. Carlos and Eddie, you may have more, but I have friends or online friends who ride in Europe, and they have talked at length about the licensing process, and not only the licensing and the time gating process, meaning that even after you get a license, you've got to go to from 125 to 250, and then from 250. Could you just tell folks, because in the U.S. here, you can walk into a dealership today, and if you have money, you can buy the fastest motorcycle they make on the planet with no paperwork whatsoever and be out the door. You don't need a driver's license or insurance, and they'll sell it to you. But so at any rate, no offense to American motorcycle dealerships, but woohoo, USA. But tell us, what's the process? Can you explain that a little bit more so people understand?
Sure.
So how it works there is that they have restrictions to avoid people getting the license and buying a Hayabusa and smash their bodies against cars.
Yes.
And so the law, I mean, obviously it changes a little bit, and probably it changed a little bit since we did it back in 2002. But basically, when you get the license, you are forced to ride for 2 years, or not forced to ride it, but you have to wait 2 years until you go to a big bike.
Yeah. Okay.
So the moment that you get the license, the following 2 years, the maximum horsepower that you can ride, I think it's 45 or 40 horsepower. And if you buy a big motorcycle, you have to cap
Really?
the engine to be sure. And everything is under homologation. So
Right.
you need to go to a certified garage that certifies that this engine
It's been limited.
Yeah, it's
Right.
limited.
Right.
So that way they guarantee. I mean, they cannot guarantee, because you can get the license and don't drive at all during 2 years. But the concept is that you get used to it and
Right.
you learn how to ride it properly.
Right.
Because
Right.
one thing is getting and passing the test, that it's doing the cones and the U-turn and all this
Yeah.
stuff. But a different story, it's being on the public roads and riding.
Mhm.
Yeah. Here to that.
So but you get all the licenses at once. So when they issue the license, you can see that
Yeah.
if you do it now, you will
Yeah.
see that in 2 years you automatically get the
It rolls
the
up.
other one.
Yeah, by time. Oh, that's good. So it's either okay. Yeah. So by a certain amount of time. That's cool. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. That was.
Not at all.
But it's something I didn't know before I went into this process. So I appreciate you filling in the blanks. And that you guys, so you guys figured this out together as you're in the process of buying. And you bought one bike to start with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because only Jordi got the
The
license.
Okay.
So, and then after 1 year, and this is because of my dad. He was very pushy, like, how come you're always in the back? Like, you should be riding. This is not you. You are like a fighter. That's not you. And I was like, but I didn't want to get the license. That was the only thing. And it was, in the end, it was like, okay, I'm going to get the license because.
Yeah,
And,
right.
and I didn't like having a vehicle that I could not legally ride, right?
So-
Because you never know.
Practical.
Sometimes you need to go for service or whatever, right?
Right. Right.
So after, I think it was 1 year or so, I got my license. And then, we bought a second bike because it was no fun anymore to just share the bike. And
Yeah.
Jordi has always been very supportive. He was in the back and we were like changing. And when we came here to the US, that's when we met Carlos. We only had one bike.
Yeah.
And we were like switching all the time.
Yeah.
And actually, I have a funny story about that.
Yeah.
Because we had the Sportster, and we met with a couple of guys from the internet that we met through, I don't know, a blog or whatever, right? And we said, okay, let's go for a spin.
Yes.
And then we meet with them, and Jordi is in, riding, and I'm in the back. And then at some point we stop for a coffee or gas or whatever. And I'm like, okay,
Switch
hold
it up.
on. And then it was like, we're gonna switch. And then we switched, and they were like, what? What's going on here? And I'm like, what? It doesn't look difficult. I'm gonna give it a try.
Yeah.
We're like, what? I was like, no, don't worry, guys. I have a license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, so MJ, I have to ask you. So when you guys first appeared at the Hog chapter meeting, you were only a one motorcycle. So let's back up for a second, just for our viewers. What is the first motorcycle that you guys got in Barcelona that you both were using? Give us the name, and what is the
Size.
most common brand name out there? Because again, what brands, companies that we are familiar here in the States and what is common in Europe are just two different things. So give me an idea of, like you said, the brand, and you said the engine size, I think, and then your first bike here in the States. I think you said it before, but go ahead.
Sure. So the official first bike that we bought, it was a Honda Scoopy. That was that moped. It's 125 cc's.
A Scooby Dooby.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a cool bike.
Yeah, but it was a scooter. So what I consider the first official motorcycle, like real motorcycle, it was a Yamaha SR 250.
Okay. That was basically close to what my first bike was, a 250 as well.
250. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I got a Honda CBF 250.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
And that was
Okay.
so that was in Barcelona.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
we've had 12 bikes so far.
Oh, what?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, in Europe, it's so common that you use Japanese
Right.
bikes. So Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, and Suzuki are probably the most common bikes. And all of them are kind of not the sport version of the bikes, but what they call it naked.
Right.
It looks more like a standard bike. So it's like the same motorcycle, but instead of having all these plastic protections and the semi bars, they have the real bar.
Right.
No? But other than that, yeah, the engines are the same, but a little bit more limited. You don't need to rev them that much. But yeah.
MJ, it brings to mind, you're saying you had a 250cc engine, right? And you were a passenger on that 250cc? Boy, and now think about how much you were holding on to Jordi for dear life when he went over those speed bumps and everything, and now to your present experience level with your own comfort, sitting there saying, how could I possibly have done that?
Well, I mean, I really enjoyed being in the back. I mean, I was minding my own things and singing in my head and looking at so but it lasted for only 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is nothing like being behind the bar doing your business.
That's true.
I mean,
And after the 250s, we got 650s.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything in between.
So you guys.
Did you bring your bike over from Spain to the States?
No.
No, we have to solve them, but it's okay.
Yeah. We sold it to my dad, actually.
Oh, what?
Oh, that's cool. So,
I know. Yeah, because
that is
in
cool.
2008, when we moved to LA, he was keeping the bike and then, just to take it out for a spin for the oil and everything, right? So when we came back, we brought it home. And then when we came back to the US and it was like, this is going to be for a long time, he was like, okay, well, if you're selling it, I would like to buy it and keep it for me because it's something special and this and that. And he ended up having 4 bikes.
nice.
Yeah.
Where did you guys live when you were in LA?
In Hollywood.
Hollywood, nice. Okay, I lived in Torrance for a year and a half, so just south of down by Redondo Beach and Manhattan Beach in that area. Loved it.
Nice.
We were working in like El Segundo, that area. So cool area. Much more crowded than San Diego, but so
When we were in LA, we almost bought a Yamaha R1.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were this close. It was right before the big crash of Lehman Brothers.
Yeah.
So back in that day, the exchange euro dollar, it was so cheap. I mean, it was for us. It was so cheap to buy it.
Yeah.
Very cheap. And we thought we can buy it here, have it
Shipped.
decorated differently, and import it to Barcelona when we're done with LA, because LA was for 1 year.
Yeah.
But it was so difficult to find a garage to park it, and we didn't want to park it on the streets because we don't have that many motorcycles, and we didn't want to get stolen.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing it.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Well, so tell me about before you came to the States, and understanding that, and this is also for our listeners and viewers, in Europe and in many countries around the world, motorcycle riding is much more commonplace, obviously, than it here is in the U.S., especially as a form of commuting, especially in cities. So were you primarily commuters, or did you guys start to do some touring when you were in Barcelona? When did you get the itch for distance riding?
Well, we used to have a dog at the time, and that limits a lot the time you can be away. So we did a lot of rides, like a 1-day ride.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that right here it's just the two of us, but back there we have family, so my parents could take care of our dog for like a week or 10 days. And the good thing is that the way geographically Barcelona is located, it's very easy to take a ferry, and overnight you are in Rome in the morning.
That's cool.
So it's an overnight trip, and it's fairly cheap. You just put the motorcycles in the it's a ferry.
Right.
So we did that 2 or 3 times, and in the summer, and that was very nice. with two bikes, right?
Yes,
I mean, we've
two bikes.
always had two bikes. It was just this one year
Right,
when
right.
we got married that so it's always been two bikes. So we always pay for twice for everything, right? Because sometimes it's like, let's just do one bike, and but it doesn't work for us. So we've been to Italy several times, and
Yeah.
we can go deep into that, but we really, really plan our trips. So
Right.
it's like, of course, you have to improvise and be flexible,
Right.
but we really know where to go and what roads to do. And I remember that one of the trips that we went to Rome, we went to Monte Carlo, and we had, there was no GPS at the time, so we
Right.
had to almost memorize the Monte Carlo, the circuit that they do for Formula One.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
The track.
Oh, cool.
So
The Grand
We
Prix,
did the
yeah.
chicane and all and
Love
the
that.
bridge, the
Yeah.
tunnel and all this stuff. Yeah, you can see that
Nice.
the streets had this piano
Yeah.
thing from the race, and it's and the starting line and everything. It's so funny.
Yeah, I have
So-
friends from the States that go over to watch the races overseas there. It's crazy. The pictures are amazing.
Yeah,
So we did Italy 2 or 3 times. Then we've done France,
yeah.
the south of France, and we've done Spain.
Yeah, the entire
And that
thing.
was pretty much it. And after that, I mean, like long distance.
Would you go from
ride.
country to country, or did you tend to only ride within one country? Is it crossing borders? How is?
No, crossing border is so simple. It's the same thing as crossing states here, kind of.
We have a,
Right.
If you have the
European Union.
the European Union passport.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more complicated than here, because here it's just you take a road and it says "Welcome to Connecticut." And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay. In there you have police boats and police just checking, but
Yeah.
I mean it's
Just
literally
waving
like
through.
crossing the Bear Mountain Bridge here. It's just
Yeah.
Right.
to control,
Yeah.
know.
That's
From
cool.
time to time, they stop someone to just control that they are not importing or exporting goods. But it's like in a motorcycle, come on.
That never happened to us.
Never.
Only coming from Canada. once.
Yes, coming from Canada, yes.
Yeah.
And we went to
Yeah,
to
the northern and
Canada.
southern borders have gotten a little bit more crazier as of late, for sure. It's probably not quite. I have, we live down by the U.S.-Mexico border, and the folks who have lived here for years, talk about like how easy it used to be able to go through. Obviously, you could just drive. It's actually quite easy to get into Mexico. It's not very easy to get back. My wife has accidentally driven into Mexico before, and thankfully returned to the States and not told me about it until afterwards. But so it's you can, like, if you get off the wrong exit, but at any rate, so I digress. But so you guys, it sounds like you got the, you're riding, you got the itch when you're overseas. Life happens and you wind up moving to America, and this is after the LA trip, but now you're moving, you wound up relocating to the New York City area.
Mhm.
So
Yes,
tell us
and
about that.
I think that, well, in Europe, to have a Harley Davidson is something very fancy, like very fancy.
Yeah.
Only, if you do very well, and because we all know that it's very expensive, everything, the service and everything. But I think that overseas, it's even more expensive.
Yes.
So we would never have considered owning a Harley. And when we moved here, and obviously we had this visa situation where you never know if you're going to be here for 1 year,
Right,
2,
right.
3, 10, or forever, right?
Right.
So we were trying to be very cautious. And at some point we said, okay, if we, let's get one bike. And we said, let's get just one, because again, your situation is, you never know how this is going to happen. What if we end up going back and, it's going to be more trouble, more everything. And we live in Manhattan, and
Right.
the garage is very expensive. So let's just limit it to one. And that's how we got our first Sportster. But it happened the same thing that, when back in Barcelona, it was not fun just to have one bike. And then we were looking for an excuse, and then Jordi turned 40, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy you a Sportster. And that, and
Nice.
it was just an excuse. We were just looking for an excuse.
Yep.
And that's how we.
That's a perfect excuse.
Nice present.
Perfect excuse, and it's a perfect gift, right? I'm not gonna complain about it.
So did you turn around and you looked at the map and I'm trying to, this is like the narrow-minded American stereotype. So did you landed in now you're living in Manhattan, you've got a couple of Sportsters, and you looked at the map and said, where can we go? Like what tell us about what happened between landing and starting a new chapter of your lives in Manhattan and deciding to go on a 44 state run. Did you gradually build up to that? How did that go?
So when she bought me the 48 in 2018, that year happened to be the 115th anniversary of Harley Davidson.
Okay.
And we learned about this homecoming party in Milwaukee. And we said, okay, we have 2 bikes. Why don't we take a week, or 2 weeks in that case, and we go to enjoy the party, right? And we were known in Milwaukee like the New Yorkers with the Sportsters. We hear that in the hotel, to be honest.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what we did. We just packed our things and we planned the trip to Milwaukee, and we ended up doing like almost 3,000 miles.
Nice.
Back and forth. Yeah, because we took like 1 week, entirely 1 week to arrive there.
Yeah.
Because who wants to go straight, right?
Right.
You go.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when everybody was splitting and saying, oh, in 2 days I need to be in New York again because I need to go to work, we said, we took another extra week.
Yeah.
So we ended up going like, once again, doing all these crazy routes to enjoy our way home. And that's what we did.
And
that probably was
sparked
the idea.
Let me ask you, you guys you guys said, yeah, Milwaukee, here it is. You both got your 883 Sportsters. You both are saying, well, let's do this. You knew that you had a projected amount of time. Did you know? He's putting a little sound effect in the back there. Okay,
it's a little Sportster for you. Sorry.
Yes. What was to tell the viewers? I mean, what's your endurance? The fact that you were going to go up and down and left and right, did you learn about saying, you know what, honey, I get tired after 6 hours, 8 hours. I can only do 600 miles a day, 800 miles a day. Was it a matter of feel? Or did you just say, hey, I'm pretty strong. I feel good. The bike is comfortable. Let's bang out 500, 600 miles. Tell us about that.
Yeah, good question.
Well, a Sportster, it's not comfortable, right? I mean, it's very beautiful. It's very beautiful, and it's still like the most beautiful Harley ever done. And it's like basic, the line, the aesthetic is so gorgeous. And that's why we didn't really want to sell them, and we wanted to do the cross country on the Sportster.
That was the original idea.
That was the idea, because it's so beautiful. And so, but the suspension sucks. It can be very uncomfortable, and the roads in America are very bumpy and very not well maintained. And even that was a struggle at the beginning, because in Europe you don't have to pay attention to the pavement. You just and here it's like, oh my God, and and like look at this, and it's scary. Also, wildlife is very scary because you have a lot of deer and things here that we don't have back there.
Burrows.
So, I mean, I would say like maybe 200, 250 miles a day.
Yeah, 200, 250, it back in the day was our maximum, but it's not that bad. I mean, the good thing is that I was on a 48, right? So that means 2.2 gallon. I literally had to stop every 70 miles to gas.
Jay, pay attention, Jay.
Yeah,
Jay, pay attention.
I'm in that boat now.
Are you taking notes, Jay?
I am. I'm in that boat now.
Basically, stopping, it was good to distress the body. Just stand up, change your position, gas in, and do some stretching. Relax for 10 minutes and just keep going.
Yeah. Shake it off.
And one of the things that not only with the Sportsters, but also right now with the Softails that we have, we try to avoid interstates as much as we can.
Yeah, I gotcha.
We're going to get there, but out of our 6-month trip and 25K miles, we did like less than 800 miles on the interstate.
Yeah.
Everything else was back roads.
So, which brings, sorry, Jay.
No, go ahead.
The transition, which is very key here for our viewers, our listeners, and I'm trying to apply it to Jay because right now, and as far as with his Sportster, he's going through a transition and learning phase. This is his Sportster. He's in love with it. He's done beautiful things to it, like you guys did. But you came to one point in the reality. How far or how long did you hold on to those Sportsters before you finally said, honey, we need a little bit bigger suspension, a little bit bigger this? How long did you ride and stay and then make the transition to what you got now?
I think we were in a Dunkin' Donuts with the Sportsters going somewhere.
Amazing.
I love this story already.
Yeah. And then Jordi's like, you know what? I think we need a bigger bike. We already started thinking about the cross country, and I'm very hardcore, and I'm like, no, let's do the Sportsters. And he's like, I think we need something bigger, because he usually overpacks. I'm like, I just need t-shirts, a pair of socks, and a panty, period, right?
Yep.
And he's more like, oh no, because today, the shirt needs to match my sock. And
It's gotta be.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I have an image.
Yeah.
And he's like, I need to pack 3 bandanas because the bag
Yeah.
with everything, but this, so right?
Got to accessorize.
That's the truth. And so he was saying, I think the Sportster is not going to work for the cross country, and we need to bring all this gear because we're going to have all kind of weather. And I'm like, no, let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
And at some point I was like, okay, this is a team thing.
Yeah.
And one thing that we agreed on is that if there's something that it's gonna bother you and that it can be fixed, let's fix it.
Yeah.
And this was really stressing Jordi out. And we said, okay, we need to fix it because it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, you take that out of the way and you feel better. Yeah.
I enjoyed. I have incredible memories of our trip to Milwaukee, but it was literally 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought, I cannot. I mean, we need to pack. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't make any difference traveling for 2 weeks or 6 months. It's literally, you need literally the same things.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because it's something called laundromats around the States. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's a key, and we can go deep on that later. But obviously you need some extra things because
the raining gear.
But I thought, I think it's too tight to do it on the Sportsters. And I think it was some kind of destiny or serendipity.
Can I ask you why though? So why when you say too tight, what do you mean by too tight?
I mean,
because when we went to Milwaukee, we didn't camp, and we wanted.
We did camp.
We did camp.
We did camp. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had this teeny tiny tent.
Yes.
We've got like 4 different.
I mean, one thing is knowing that you're going to be on the road 2 weeks, and even though it's rough and tough, and you suffer a little bit because you are on a Sportster.
Yeah.
You know it's limited. It's going to be 2 weeks. I know that the first day of the 3rd week, I'm going to be in my bed, sleeping comfortably, and it's going to be awesome. But we were planning on a 6-month road trip.
Right.
You know what I mean? Camping every single day. So I thought, and also the limitation of the gas. You know, I had to buy an extra bottle of gas and all this stuff. And I thought, maybe we should consider something. And it was serendipity, but we were on our way to America in 2019. And the first day of the rally, I had an issue on my bike.
Yeah.
That was really scary.
My bearings exploded. Bearings, it's called?
Yeah. Wheel bearings,
and I destroyed the rear rim. And the guys at Lake George, the McDermott Harley-Davidson, told me, it's fixable, but we don't have rims.
Yeah.
There's rims here. It's going to take like a week to get it.
Yeah.
But we have no bikes.
And we end up trading in the 2 Sportsters. Well, hold on one second. Only one broke. Why we did trade in 2?
That's what happened. Yeah, exactly.
And we spent one entire day not enjoying the rally, but being inside the dealership. But we get in with Sportsters, and we went out with 2 brand new Softails.
Nice.
And have you decided to always ride the same bikes, or is it just?
No, because in Barcelona we didn't have the same bikes. We had the same engine, but different bikes. But no, it just happened. I mean, Jordi had been doing a little bit of research. If we trade in the Sportster, what are we gonna get? And we knew that the Sports Glide seemed like the perfect fit.
Yes.
And then, but I think it was very funny because we left with the 2 Softails, and then we went back to the hotel. It was like, oh my God, so unexpected. And we, and we parked them, and we just grabbed a can of soda, whatever. And we were sitting in front of the bikes, just watching at them and saying, oh, they look so pretty.
Yeah. Afraid to go inside.
And people were passing by and they were looking like, what's going on? I'm like, well, we just bought them. And they were like, both of them? Yes.
Nice.
So we just...
Yeah, I have, very, very quickly, when we were in Vegas a couple weeks ago, I took my family into the Harley store, and none of my wife and kids don't ride, but they know how much time and money Daddy spends. And it was like they walked around. It was almost like they were trying to like make me pay a little bit. They were walking around the store like just knocking stuff off the shelf in the bag. Like, Daddy spends a lot of money on Harley. We're getting some Harley gear. My family walked out all decked out, looking good, and I can tell you, consequently, I know how much you need to spend more than $300 to get one of these beautiful.
Yes,
right.
Yes, and you did.
I got one. So yeah. Anyway, so you said something really important about laundry mats and knowing what to pack, and I'm curious. Like, tell us about that. Like, what is your experience, and what are some of the lessons you learned? It sounds like you learned a lot on that first trip to Milwaukee that you started to translate. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the first thing that we learned is that you don't need a lot to be happy. And I know that this sounds like tacky and from a privileged perspective, that if something goes wrong, you know where to go and you have your family and your savings, right?
Right.
You realize that you don't need to pack a lot of things, and just to to enjoy life. For us, it's riding, right? So so what happened in Milwaukee is that we realized, that this is a country that, in terms of nature and parks and roads and the people, there's so much to explore and to learn, and diversity. And being foreigners, we really wanted to take advantage of that. And that's how it all started. And when we got home, I started thinking, we need to do a cross country. We need to do this longer. And it was not enough. And I remember coming back from Milwaukee, we wanted to stop at Philadelphia, was it? I don't remember. We need to make a stop to visit someone, and it was in York, and it was raining and we couldn't do it. And we stopped at an IHOP. The first time we went to an IHOP, it's like, okay, let's try this out, right? Because everything is new for us. We're
the
foreigners.
International House of Pancakes.
Yes,
exactly.
And I love pancakes, but still, Jordi loves them.
All you can eat.
Yes.
Fruity Tooty, fresh and fruity.
And it was raining and it was bad, and Jordi was like, oh, I've had fun, but 2 weeks, it's a lot. And I'm like, no, 2 weeks is nothing. I could go for 3 weeks, 3 more weeks, 2 more months. And then, something resonated in my head, and I started, because I'm the wild one here. And I started telling Jordi, we need to do this cross-country trip. We need to do more and not wait till we retire. Because that's something that a lot of people tell you.
Yep.
Wait till you retire. And then maybe when you retire, maybe you don't have health, or maybe you don't like bikes anymore because you like something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why wait? Let's do it now. And Jordi was very like, oh, well, this is like, what are you saying? And I'm like, we need to quit our jobs, sell our belongings, leave the apartment, and hit the road. And he was like, yeah, right. I'm like, I'm serious, and I kept talking, and it's gonna be our trip to Milwaukee, but longer, and it's gonna be great. And don't be afraid, we have the two of us, that's all we need, that's all that matters. We really enjoy doing that. So, and it
grew on me, and we end up doing it.
And at some point it was like, let's do it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And I have a question regarding, because pancakes came up, and I know you guys are health conscious, fit people. When I've been on the road, it's been a little bit difficult to find things to eat. I was wondering how you guys, and this was the question that I wanted to ask you guys, actually.
So I want to step in here.
Yeah, we're a little hippie.
And I want to also add something to your question. It's like, one of us is vegetarian, so that also complicates even more things in America.
Sure.
Okay? Because you can eat burgers every single time, everywhere. But
remember that supermarket that we said, do you have tofu? And they were like, what?
What's tofu?
Like, tofu? Like, where?
What?
Probably it was in Nebraska or somewhere. And I was like, let me call the manager. And can you assist that lady? I'm like, we have tofu? And they were like,
you have to say hold the bacon at all times, right?
I don't know. I showed them on my phone.
Picture,
the bacon is not a vegetable.
They were like, we don't carry that.
Well, adding that to the table, I would like to say, I want to give you some perspective, and I think it's really important, and that helped or complicated things a lot. We were supposed to start our trip on March 26, 2020. And I'm not sure if you remember, but on March 13, 2020,
Yes.
COVID.
New York COVID.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lockdown.
There was something called COVID that hit us.
Yeah.
And it was like, what are we going to do? March 13 was my last day at my job.
Whoa.
And
you planned that though. That was your plan. You were resigning to travel.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So at certain moment, I think it was March 15 or 16 that we were like, we just quitted our jobs. We say goodbye. Our lease it's canceled for the apartment. We have nowhere to go. We didn't even
sold everything.
We didn't even have couch on the apartment. It was like
we were sleeping on the floor.
What are we gonna do? And what we end up doing is
burned your ships.
Keep going with the trip, right? So when we pick up the bikes and get out of the city, we end up locking down in North Carolina for a couple of months. But during this lockdown period, we said, we cannot go to restaurants. We're not gonna, I don't want to go to a restaurant, right?
Right.
So
scary.
So what we decided to do was let's go to the Walmart. We buy a electric burner that it was literally like a piece of paper.
Oh wow, yeah.
We carried that burner everywhere. We bought a pot, and we cooked all our meals.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Wow.
We bought a pot and removed the handle. We
Obviously.
bought a strainer and removed the handle so that everything was
fit together.
Fitting in bags.
So there was every single day in our trip, we had 2 stops mandatory. One, it's going to be the accommodation, campground or hotel.
Right.
But the second stop, it's going to be every single day a Walmart or supermarket to buy the food that I'm going to eat today and the food that I'm going to eat tomorrow, either dinner or lunch.
Right.
So.
And we prepared the lunch boxes the night before. So we would boil an egg or like, I don't know, whatever.
Pasta, rice.
Because we also run. So if we had like a run in the morning, we need, dinner needs to be different. So yes.
So how we solve the lunch to be healthy? We end up cooking our meals.
And how long did you keep this up just during early in the lockdown period, or was this a pattern you kept up throughout the 6 months?
We still do it.
Well, yeah.
We don't carry the burner, and we are not sponsored by Walmart, but Walmart is everywhere. So what we do, like for instance, let's say tomorrow we go for a ride. We would end up stopping at a Walmart, and they have at the entrance. It's always at the entrance. They have like things to go,
prepared
and
meals,
they have the salad that usually is $4. And then we would buy like a boiled egg. And then we have our camping chairs. So we put the chairs in the parking lot and we eat there. And people look at you and it's
sometimes I remember that sometimes we ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner for less than both of us for less than $10.
Wow. That's crazy.
If you buy,
you don't cook on the road anymore, though. You don't carry a burner. You just buy a ready salad, and you just.
Since then, we didn't do that long trip. We're planning to go to Milwaukee this year again. I'm not sure if we're going to buy.
Maybe we'll take a burner.
That burner was literally $12 when we bought it, so it's super worth it.
Yeah, paid for itself. It sounds like. Yeah. So it sounds like things started pretty chaotically as you got out of the gate, and I know we're running along here, so I appreciate your patience with all our chatter. But it sounds like you got out of the gate kind of hectically. Did you ever feel like you got into a groove? Like what was it like going from we've just left our jobs, COVID started, now we're on the road? Tell us what was your new normal like?
So what happened is that because I work in public health and I had access to some information, and I knew New York was going to be very, very, chaotic and very bad. So we said, we need to leave earlier because we were worried that maybe they would lock down Manhattan and, close the bridges and the tunnels, and that we couldn't leave. And we couldn't afford that because we had no place to stay.
Sure.
So originally, before COVID, when we were doing the planning, because it took us almost 2 years to plan everything, what we did is that we said, okay, let's reach out to the hub chapters in the places where we're going to stay overnight.
Nice.
And explain our story. So we created like a template email and explain our story, tell them who we are, that they see that we are good people and that, this is not a scam, and ask them if someone in the hub is willing to host us for one night. And that way, because what we really wanted from that trip is to meet people and talk to people and experience the grassroots of
connect.
That was at the core of our trip. So we had already reached out to several of the hub chapters, and the response was very positive.
Yeah, we have like three or four places already.
Always people say
for the first 2 weeks. Yeah.
Always people that would say, I have a basement with a sofa bed.
That's awesome.
Or I have a backyard where you can plant your tent, or come and we'll figure it out, right? So one of the chapters that we had reached out was the
Smoky
Mountains chapter. And there was a couple that said, yes, please come.
Don and Lori. I would like to thank them. Thank you so much.
Don and Lori, big shout out.
Hi, Don and Lori.
They said, please come. We have a cabin. You can stay. You can do the laundry if you want to. And, we don't have it. It's empty right now. So just come. So when COVID hit and it was like scary times, and we said, we just need to do it anyway. We were trying to go and spend the lockdown somewhere, and the hotels wouldn't take you,
right?
Campgrounds wouldn't let you stay for like
long periods. No,
so we couldn't find. And then so we said, okay, let's reach out to Don and Lori and see, they could do the cabin in a month and a half. Maybe they can do it now. And they said, yes, we are. You can do it. And we said, we will pay.
Of course, we will pay you. I mean,
we will pay you some rent. Right. And we got an agreement, and they said, and the cabin is 2 miles from the Blue Ridge Parkway entrance.
No kidding.
And it was
beautiful. Oh my God.
It was like, what? And we said, let's do it. And we didn't even know how the cabin looked like or anything. Yeah. They were very nice on the phone. And we said, this is an adventure. Let's just do it.
And the cabin ends up being a 3-story building.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Beautiful. I mean, amazing.
I don't know why, but I was just picturing some dump in the woods, but apparently that's like...
It was amazing.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Like a few acres for ourselves. So everybody in Manhattan was like, pulling their hair like...
Small apartments and locked down, and we were like...
You were like escaped from New York. Like
we were in paradise. And even I remember the first night when we arrived to the cabin, and Don came to us and is like, are you pretending to go to buy groceries on those bikes? And we said like, yeah. No. My daughter has a pickup truck here that she doesn't use. I'm going to pick it up and you can use it as...
What the heck?
Nice.
The only condition is that you fill it when you're done.
Yeah.
And we spent 1 month driving the pickup truck, the Tacoma, everywhere. It was amazing.
Yeah. I don't want to sound sappy, but it's like stories like this, and it just it re-inspires your faith in humanity to hear.
Yes.
Because there are some people who are just simply good and they don't want or expect anything other than the reward of having helped somebody. And it sounds like that was your experience, at least early on. Did you how did you find your way from Don and Lori's? Did you guys hole up there for the bulk of the time and kind of use that as like your base camp? What was your trek from there?
Basically, Don and Lori have their own house.
Right.
So that was an extra house.
And they both ride.
Okay. By the way. And Don said, I'm going to use the basement every other day or so because I use it to work and I need to take care of the grass and everything. Does it bother you guys? We said, no, not at all. And we saw them like almost every day. We ride together. He was a guide for a ride that it was amazing and showing us all the Blue Ridge Mountains. And it was, it was really nice.
Yeah. And I think, the first month, So we went to the Blue Ridge Parkway every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Like it was a little bit chilly because it was
End of March, beginning
March,
of April.
April, yeah.
But still, regardless, we would just, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I really wanted to move there. I mean, that stole my heart. It's at the Blue Ridge Parkway. We've done it like the whole thing. Like it's very beautiful. If you've never done it and you have a chance sometime, just do it. But this was initially for 1 month because some of the roads were closed, national parks were closed.
Right.
And so what happened is that Jordi took the lead on that, and he rerouted our cross-country trip.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah, obviously, because we were supposed to be on the road, and we spent almost 2 months on the cabin. So we had to decide what are we not going to see, because we had only 2 confirmed and reserved accommodations during the trip.
Okay.
From the very beginning. One was Yellowstone National Park, because it's so hard to get spots there.
Right.
And with COVID, it was even worse.
Right.
And the second one is that we wanted to hit Sturgis Rally.
Yeah. Okay.
And we also bought reservations there. So we have to redistribute our route, because otherwise we're not going to hit those spaces at the precise moment that we wanted to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned that.
That's so go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Please continue.
And that's one of the lessons that we learned about the trip, is that you need to plan. It's important that you plan. But one of the reasons why you want to plan is because planning allows you to be flexible and get out of the plan.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So anarchy is not good. Plan. Oh, yeah, that's good. Plan. When you add the anarchy to a plan, it's when it works, because you can get out of the plan and then get back to the plan.
Yeah.
And that makes everything smoother.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about who wants to go in a straight line. You know, you always end up going like this. And one of the things, as Carlos mentioned, I'm in the process of learning a lot about this myself, was that, you know, the plan is only as good as the weather and the events and the things that you encounter. And you have to have, you know, you got to be able to change on a dime and have other options and other places to go. So, you know, really sounds like that's the same situation that you guys were rolling with. And again, I know I don't want to chew your ears off all afternoon. I want to be respectful of your time, but I'm really curious to know on the trip, if you could tell me specifically, was there a moment when, you know, you realized either individually or together that this was really, you know, this was a really amazing thing that we decided to do, and just kind of that transcendent, like, did you have that magical, like, I'm so glad that we did this? And was there an opposite moment of that too? And maybe did you have a point when you were like, I'm just going to lay down in traffic and see what happens?
I think that we loved it the moment that we hit the road for the first mile. I
think that we knew that this was a transformative experience, and that it would affect the way we see life, and we see life differently.
Yeah.
And I know it's true. We are more appreciative of life, and, you know, value the moment and live the moment.
Live the moment.
And that's, you know, don't take things for granted, and live the life that you want to live. And I'm proud to say that when I look back, I'm living the life that I want to live. And sometimes you don't happy, but you know, and I'm glad that we both see it, you know, the same way.
I mean, I have to admit that there was a moment of doubt.
Yeah, sure.
Especially the first week moving from New York to the cabin.
But it was because of COVID.
It was because of COVID, because it was the chaos everywhere, and
we didn't have.
We were in the road trying to. I mean, that was one of the bulky moments that we were in the interstate, because we wanted to get out as fast as possible. And we were riding, and everywhere all this panel says, save lives, stay home, lockdown, and it was like, are we doing the right thing? And now I can say, without a doubt, we did the best thing at the best moment, because we were more isolated than anybody else.
Yeah.
We were way distant from everybody, because you're on your bike with your helmet, and everybody's like 10 feet away, not only 6, but 10.
Jordi, I have to ask you guys, you remember your riding experience on the Sportster, and I've heard already from MJ, it sucked. Then you went up to the Softail, and you put all these miles on there. What's the next bike after the Softails?
Well, the other day we were at the dealership and I told
Oh,
George,
baby.
let's get these two that they are the same. And he was like, nah, nah. I'm like, take it or leave it.
Street glides.
And he
She
said,
said.
Oh
no.
yeah.
Because, and that's it, because your comfort level. I mean, you think I was going to ask you because, and this is where Jay is going through right now: comfort, changing seat, etc., aerodynamics, and so you go from Sportster to a Softail. You went up here in comfort level. Now you guys are seasoned pros. You know how to do everything. Now you say, as you say, you want to enjoy life to its fullest. So why not go with the comfort? So is there a third bike in the future as of yet?
Oh, I mean, I have to. I mean,
It's not going to happen.
no, I don't think it's going to happen. But I'm going to tell you why. I think it's. I heard that from one video from Matt Ludlow from Harley Davidson. They have a Harley Davidson dealership in Los Angeles, and he said it's very important that you get the tool that you really need. Can you bat a baseball with a tennis racket? Probably yes, but it's the best tool to do it? Probably not.
Right.
So can you do a cross-country trip on a Sportster? Absolutely yes. It's the best tool to do it? Probably not.
Right.
So right now, and it's also important that you know your ergonomics. And we are like 5'7", 5'6". So for me, a touring bike, it's a little bit too big.
Right.
I feel more comfortable on the Softail platform. And am I doing a cross-country trip every year? No.
Mhm.
I'm doing more local rides, like overnight rides, like I do like from here to Niagara Falls and come back. Yeah, that's the kind of things that I do. So the Softail fits me better for the style of riding that I do.
Good
And
answer.
if you can do a cross-country trip on a Sportster, obviously, and of course, you can do it on a Softail.
Yeah.
So
So-
what's your daily mileage these days? On the soft.
We barely started with the season.
Yeah, I mean, we do like, I have to admit that we do like 350 a day, the longest, but it's because we also like to, first of all, because we don't want the interstates. So
Right.
you cannot ride like 60 or 70, 75 or 80 miles per hour. And country roads, it's like you cross by towns and all this stuff, the traffic sucks and stuff. But we also like to stay places and enjoy the surrounding of the places. So I don't want to just get in the bike at 8 o'clock and arrive to the destination at 8 p.m. I prefer to arrive to the destination at 4, 5, 6 p.m. and then just walk, enjoy the place that I'm in.
We do a lot of carnivals, a lot of we always try to look for things to do.
Yeah.
Do you exercise every day on the road?
Say it again?
Do you exercise every day, run every day when you're on the road?
Not every day, but for instance,
if we go for the weekend.
If we go for the weekend, usually yes, because we have a long run to do always on Sundays. But going to Milwaukee, of course, we're going to have to take our shoes and our running gear and exercise. But you also benefit from that, because if you are all day long on the bike like this, then moving your body, the skeleton and the muscles, and the tendons and everything,
I've learned a hard lesson on the ergonomics, and from not only from riding but also from some other ways that I work from home, and I'm on a standing desk all the time. But just this isn't an ergonomic show, but yeah. So I definitely get that. That learning the hard and painful lessons. I will say, for the record, my Sportster 1200 has upgraded suspension. I'm putting a new gas tank on it. Just splurged on some hard shell. Vikings had a Viking bags, not a sponsor, but had a 25% off Easter sale. That 25% off of and Harley doesn't make a good hard shell bag for my bike, so I just got it with I have to relocate the turn signals, but definitely the suspension upgrades that are big butt saver. And I know we're coming up. We're a little bit over our time here. I could go on asking questions, and I think we, as I said at the start of the show, you guys have a standing invitation to return at any time, and I think there's so much more that we wanted to talk through. So hopefully, when your schedule allows, you will do that. And one of the things in particular I'm really interested in hearing about is like packing and you talked about the flexibility and the mechanics of your planning. I would love to hear a little bit about like taking your gear on and off the bike. You know, if you're going to go in a hotel, are you taking everything off? Are you putting it? You know, my hands got beat to shit on the last trip, so I learned that lesson. And you know, with that, I know we got a few minutes here. Is there something like, you know, is there something that you packed that you were like, you know, thank God I had this? And is there something that you had with you that like at one point you just wanted to throw in a lake or something? Like, what did you find? Is there any awesome gear tips you can give us that you learned in that trip?
I think that when you are going on a long trip, you need to be prepared to spend some money on gear.
Yeah.
Because you know you want to buy things that pack compact and that are light. So that means that you're going to be paying for that. So one thing that we were carrying is camping cots, but not the cot that you can buy at Walmart, right?
Yeah.
It's the cot that you take to Mount Everest.
Yeah.
So I'm serious. It's the things for people that do, you know, climb mountain climbing. So so that's one thing that I was saying at the beginning. This is going to be fun for us. That's what we said. If there's something that really stresses one of us, we need to fix that before we leave. And Jordi, believe it or not, doesn't like camping. So, and we knew we were going to be camping most of the time. And I love camping. So I said, Jordi, how can we make this better? And he said, I really struggle, you know, sleeping.
Yeah.
I don't, right? So I said, let's look for a cot. And, you know, it was not cheap, but it was very comfortable.
Can I ask you, is this, when you say cot, are you talking about like an actual thing with legs or the thing with it's just a mat that inflates thing?
No. A structure, a metal
structure. Yeah, rigid structure.
Yeah. Like the military.
Oh, yeah, you got to, I need to see this. Can you send, we'll have to send me a picture. Yeah, I'd love to see this.
We will send it to you.
Well, Dad, let me ask you this. You had, I think I was impressed. I think you should do that plug because you guys did some really good instructional videos.
Oh, you have them on your YouTube channel. Awesome.
Yeah, you have your. I remember you guys when you shared it with the chapter and the links. I was like just amazed. I was looking at how you could put 5 pounds of shit in a 1 pound bag. You know what I mean? It was that amazing how you were able, and you know, you got rid of it, and how you learned that you can't carry all this. So I think that a plug for you guys on your YouTube video showing the techniques there, because it answers your question, Jay.
Yeah.
It answers the dynamics, what they learned, how they packed it, what worked, what didn't work. You know, so kudos to you guys for making an excellent video on that. So
thank you for mentioning that, Carlos. I'll check that out.
What I would say is that you have to, I mean, some people it's obsessed on what to carry, what not to carry. Is it too much? Is it too little? I would say 2 things. One is every single piece of gear or item that you carry needs to be multi-purpose.
Yeah.
What I mean for that, if you think that you're going to go into the river and get a swim, you don't need a swimsuit. Use just a short.
Right.
That also
Yesterday's running gear.
You can use the same short to go to sleep.
Right.
And to walk around the city.
Right.
So one thing, multi-purpose.
Yeah.
And the second thing that I would say is plan how are you going to put it in your saddlebags.
Okay, yeah.
Position is so important.
Yes.
Think about the things that you are not going to need in the next 3 months because you are going to be in the desert. So maybe the winter gloves, you are not going to need them. Put them on the back.
Right.
At the bottom of the bag. And the things that you are going to need on daily basis, put them on top. Because you don't want to take some, it doesn't matter if, because it's so round and small, it fits that spot over there. No, because if you need it every single day,
it's got to be on
you have
top.
to take out everything every single day. So it's better to lose a little bit of space, but have things handy.
What about a tent? What did you guys, I think I heard MJ say before that you went through a few different tents, but did you, what did you land on? Because I'm asking, it's a loaded question because there are, like REI or Dick's, tents that are made for camping. There's tents that are made for backpacking or mountain climbing that tend to be cross section with motorcycling very well because of the compact nature. And then there are also some tents that are aimed towards motorcyclists specifically that I'm seeing on the market that, you know, of course aren't cheap. What did you guys land on for a tent? I promise this will be my last question.
No,
Don't worry.
we have time. We bought our current tent in Barcelona.
Oh,
We
cool.
couldn't find an option here. We had 4 different tents, and you know, one was too small, the other one was too big, the other one was too bulky, and we ended up buying one in Barcelona and bringing it here with us
Cool.
in one trip because we wanted something very small, very compact, very light, and we found that, and that had 2 entrances. That was the key thing for us.
So entrance.
Waterproof? Is it a waterproof tent too? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it had also vestibules. So that allows you to leave the boots, cover under the cover and all this stuff. But the 2 entrances was so important because sometimes if you need to get up in the middle of the night, you don't want to pass by on top of her and all this stuff. And that was key.
Because we have a 2-people tent. It's
literally
like
a 2-people.
It's smaller than it's like a full.
Yeah. It was finding the correct tent. It was a roller coaster because at the beginning we thought it has to be super small. So it was 1 entrance, no vestibule, anything, nothing extra, like a bobber motorcycle. If you don't need it, it's not there.
Right.
Because that way it packs small. But yeah, we had a lot of gear with us and we needed to put it somewhere.
That was for Milwaukee.
Yes. So we end up buying a 3-people tent to sleep 2, and that way we can dismount all the things and put it in the.
Which is what I would do. Yeah, that makes sense.
But that also wastes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Because if you don't need to take it out, why do you want to take it out? Oh, just in case it rains. Well, if it rains, the best thing to do is just leave it on the bike and have a cover.
Right.
That's it. And that way you don't have to take out, take in every single day.
Yeah, you're not beating the hell out of your hands, taking everything off the bike, and
So we end up buying the smallest one that we could find, but having the attributes that allow us to be comfortable, like 2 vestibules and 2 doors.
Okay.
So that means an extra couple of poles and an extra feet of fabric, but when you roll it over, it doesn't make the difference. You don't mind if your diameter pack is like this or like this. It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, very cool.
And also, we had some trial and error with the tarp because you need a tarp.
Ground tarp.
And tarps can usually be very cheap, but they are, they take a lot of space.
Yeah.
So we did some research and ended up buying a tarp that it's like the size of a cell phone.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this is all in that. I gotta see this in the video because I bought a 7-foot ground tarp just in case to have, and it is not the size of a cell phone.
You folded it like it's massive. Right?
Yeah.
And then again, it's multi-purpose because when we were in Monument Valley, we were camping in the desert, and the campground was prepared for RVs, and they had no shades.
Right.
And I think Jordi and I were the only 2 people camping. And it was like 110 degrees. It was unbearable. And we had to put the tarp
to give us some shade.
So it's one of those things that everything has different. You can use
multi-purpose.
Multi-purpose.
Multi-purpose is the key.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did I or did I not see you guys traveling with 2 helmets?
Yes, we were traveling with. Actually, we used these 2 full-face helmets here, and these 2 open-face helmets here.
So that's bulk, and that's what was the strategy between those are full face and 3/4, and space being a premium. That's my last question of the day.
Sure, space is it's important, but you also need to be comfortable. And what are you going to answer me if I tell you need to walk 6 months wearing the same shoes every single day? You're going to tell me, oh, my foot are going to be destroyed. So we thought that having 2 different helmets is going to help us because this could be extremely hot in Monument Valley at 110 degrees, but this could be really, really cold in the in the Bluetooth mountain when it's snowing. You know what I mean? So we thought this is for cold days, high speed highways or whatever. This is more for hot days, local things and whatever. And that way your head it's not wearing the same thing every single day, 9 hours a day.
That's great advice.
The three quarters, are they? Is that a visor on the three quarters?
No.
An open. It's an open
No,
face.
no visor, just goggles.
Yeah, that's good advice.
In the full face helmets, we have the intercoms, and we don't have the intercoms in the open face, and we want it that way because we wanted some time for us to reflect and to think about what we were doing. And
Just disconnect.
so
Yeah.
we don't, and, you know, I talk a lot. So when we're on the intercom, I'm always like very chatty.
Yeah.
And we wanted some time alone, just us and the road. And, you know, I know it sounds very poetic, but it's the truth. It was a very important trip for us. The meaning that it had.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
we really needed that time for us.
Yeah, that's I can't imagine what it must have been like for the two of you to share that. And I say that, you know, my wife doesn't ride, and she's keeping me on time. So, yeah, that's I want to talk more about the packing. The one last thing on packing that you mentioned a while back, Jordi, was and Carlos and team. This is the order of operations, not just like your things that you need in short reach need to be on top. Like how you order gear when you put it on and off your bike, where do you place it? The balance, like, you know, where do you put things on your bike for longer term, for, you know, for wind conditions, things like that. So we would love to have you guys back to talk about that on a future episode. I'll show you. This is my 7-foot tarp. This is what it looks like rolled up here.
That's bigger than a cell phone.
Oh yeah, bigger than a cell phone. This is like one of those bed mats I got. This is pretty small, actually. This is for like laying on.
Oh, our mat,
my tent is about yay big.
Our sleeping bag, our sleeping mat fits in this cup.
Stop!
I got a long way to go. This is my tent. This is the size of my tent right here. So
I mean, but it's just you.
Yeah, just me. Yeah, and possibly my cat. But,
all right. Jordi and MJ, see, your advice is very crucial for this gentleman.
Yes.
You know, this family member, because his confidence has soared because he went first time solo long distance from San Diego to Las Vegas. So that was his big. Now he's exploring going cross country on that sports from San Diego to East Coast. So
I just want to ride, man. I just got to go.
So he needs
I need people to talk me in, and I know I keep saying we're way over time. I have been asking, and I want people to talk me. I am a corporate 20+ year corporate lifer, so I'm conditioned to get and receive feedback pretty well. So I want to hear, like, you know, I want people to talk me out of it. We'll talk about this next week's episode for sure. I will tease that by saying, Carlos, I went on, I don't know if you guys go to HD Forums. It's a Harley Davidson website.
Yes.
So I went on hdforums.com in the road trip thing and asked this question, you know, here's my bike, here's what I'm thinking about doing. And I actually asked it under the auspices of what experiences have people had paying for bike rental, because I considered renting up to like a Street Glide or something for the trip. And unfortunately, or not, depending on how you look at it, the overwhelming majority of feedback was, you know, after you make the upgrades to your bike that I've already made for suspension and gas and things like that, most of them said, like, just take your Sportster, you'll be fine. And there's one guy who his website name, and I'll give him a shout out, his name is 71 on a 72. So I assume he's 71 years old and rides a 72. And he said, yeah, and by the way, he goes, that you could fit a lot more Coke in a 4.4 gallon tank, so you'll be fine. Like, I don't know if this is, so all of the advice on the Harley Davidson forum is appreciated. It may not all be great advice, but nevertheless.
That's Coca-Cola, right?
Exactly. So I want to, you know, from the bottom of my heart, I want to get you guys on, and so you have the rest of your Saturday afternoon and evening, and as well as the rest of the crew here. I cannot thank you enough for coming on. We would love to have you back. And by the way, that's, you know, specifically to come back and talk to us more about your experiences. You're also always welcome back in the garage anytime you want. You see us live and the light is on, please don't hesitate to come in. So again, thank you so much. Do you guys have anything, you know, any rides or appearances or anything going on that you want to plug before we let you go?
No, well, as we mentioned before, this year we are planning 2 big trips. One is going to be Laconia in 60 days.
Sweet.
Less than 60 days.
Nice.
And because it's going to be the centennial for the event, and we've never been there. It's right here, and we've never been there.
Great.
From Washington, so
Beautiful. Oh yeah, you're gonna love it.
And then we're going to be in July in Milwaukee. So if any of you guys happens to be there,
happen
just
to be in the
come say
neighborhood,
hi,
right?
and we can ride together. So
Sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then for some of the long weekends, Memorial Day and all that stuff, we usually meet with people that follow us on YouTube, and we say, okay, let's meet halfway, and they will meet in person and go for a ride.
We're meeting. We're meeting 2 couples, one from Rochelle, New York, and the other one from Cleveland.
Rochelle.
So it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Well, I think that would be a great opportunity if we cross paths. Who knows what the summer is going to bring? And it's a very good possibility we could be out there. Carlos, Eddie?
Well, I was going to say, as your uncle, and I was going to suggest to you that it's too bad that your planning on coming to the East Coast was just a little bit late, because you could have participated and been with the Bikers Against Breast Cancer.
When is that?
Which is that, well, it's several days before you start your journey.
Okay, so well, we'll see.
And that's something that where it's something to look forward to. One of those type of things there. But anyway,
good event. So that's coming up. And then Scott, you got anything going on?
No, my new hobby is watching other people camp on YouTube.
What is that about? You said that yesterday. What is
it's the best. I'm gonna add Jordi and MJ's channel as well. It's very relaxing.
All right. Well, we'll get to the bottom of that in the next episode. Eddie, anything going on for the Sexy Snail this week?
Just more riding.
Good.
Waiting for everyone else to get their bikes out of the garage.
Exactly.
Finally.
Get out there and ride your shit, right? That's what I'm saying.
Fishing season has started too.
Oh
so
yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, before we wrap up, okay, so one last thing here. I just want to say he wasn't able to join us today, but I'll hold it up here for the camera. I got a nice little note from the Wounded Warrior Project to our show, thanking us for the contribution we made on behalf of Mike for his birthday a couple weeks ago. So thank you, Mike, and thanks from the Wounded Warrior Project. Next episode, tons to talk about. We got elbow bursitis, cross-country road trip, my gas tanks being custom painted. I got some new saddlebags we got to talk about. Had a crazy 850-mile ride back and forth to Vegas by myself. I had a couple of gut checks, but otherwise, felt safe. I rode 7 miles. I rode 7 miles with a riding club last week and almost died twice. So we'll talk about that experience and why I finally said, what, thanks, but no thanks. So I won't be riding with those guys anymore. I started a business. We'll talk about that. I need new tires, and I'm getting conflicting information on the size of what I should do.
Why do you need new tires? The treads,
just a tread. I'm going to be wearing them out. So, and I'm getting conflicting information on. I have a bicycle, the 21-inch front tire. And I'm either going to stick with that or possibly go to a smaller, wider tire. So I need to get some input. But my Emily at the service desk at Coronado Beach, Harley Davidson, looked at me like, do you like the way your bike rides? And I said, yeah. And she said, I wouldn't change a thing then. Sounds like sage advice. Lastly, we're going to talk about bike technology, and last week I went, speaking of bike tech, another kind of tech, I went to an open house held by Motorcycle Mechanics Institute at El Cajon Harley Davidson. MMI has 2 bike tech schools, one in Orlando and one in Phoenix, and they are connected with Harley in terms of teaching motorcycle mechanics. And I was curious to know, they had an open house for what it's like to be a bike tech. So I went and checked that out, so I can tell you some of the cool things I learned poking around there too. So that's coming up next week. So much to do. I really appreciate, again, Jordi and MJ. Thank you so much for coming on. All of the team here, you guys. Thank you. Eddie, Carlos, Scott, Mike, thank you guys so much. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your Saturday afternoon, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
You too.
Hey,
Bye. Ride safe, everybody.
Jay, you will have to invite us back because we told you the story about our license, but here they don't honor the license, so we had to take the exam and do everything
That's
here.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about
That's
that.
another story.
So-
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to take the exam, but yeah, here's where here's where you can buy a Hayabusa usually from the dealership, and they'll just let you roll it out. I will tell you, lots of clubs won't let you ride with them without an M. I found, but we'll talk about that in the next episode. Thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic afternoon.
Bye.
Cheers,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
Yes.